Hey guys, into the end here, back with a few more gameplay videos with Icaria plate. I have already published the first set of 4 videos on YouTube, so hopefully you've seen those. If not, check those out first, and I've already done a pretty comprehensive deck tech on this. There is one super minor change, as I was already talking about it during the previous set of videos. I really wasn't sure about the one copy of Navani, and I took it out and I replaced it with one copy of Jack the Bounty Hunter. This card has been a lot better than Navani. Usually when you get to a part of the game where you're sort of using Rise to the challenge for silver bullets, and you need a silencing effect, Jack is almost always better than the Enforcer, with the only exception being if you have 7+ power and you want to play the Rise and the Valkyrie Enforcer in the same turn, then you do that. But if you can wait one more turn, the Jack is almost always better, because this will be an 8/4 quick draw unit, which can punch through pretty much any defense your opponent has. But yeah, so here's the new version of the deck. It's been doing quite well. I think my overall win rate with this deck, I don't keep track of these things, but my overall win rate with this deck is pretty high, as it is demonstrated by the fact that I'm currently top 51 in Masters. Oh no, this is the kind of hand that you're really afraid of getting. A bunch of 6 and 7 drops with a kind of mediocre 3-drop. The 3-drop is pretty good. 3/3 lifesteal is a good unit, but the problem is that it dies to a torch, and it basically dies the second you play him in most games. So it's just a lightning rod. It's not gonna stick around, especially against these colors. And we didn't draw any power, so that's very alarming when you have a handful of 6 and 7 drops. But that is the turn-off for you, right? Live by the power draw and die by the power draw. Either Flood or Screw, both will kill you. Yep, we'll swing in here. Oh no, he silences it. That's fine. We're still gonna attack him. Yep, that's excellent. Let's attack him for 3. He's certainly not gonna trade us here. Oh, actually, you know what I could have done? I could have just played the second Spirit Guide and mentored this, so I have 6 lifesteal. But I don't think that's necessary. Let's just go ahead and do that. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I thought maybe I could have not attacked and give this lifesteal. Playing against traditional Rakano plate, against this super new new version of Rakano plate. So let's just go ahead and attack him with the lifestealing one. And because what I want to do is I want to play the Rune Hammer and kill his life-stealing Aegis Silverwing. This is going to give me the most problem when he puts a weapon onto it. The hammer is going to die, that's fine. But this will discourage him from attacking with his Ronin, so that he doesn't pick up the Warcry trigger. I would rather not do 3 damage and prevent him from getting Warcry trigger. Because one of the reasons why I'm really afraid of Warcry triggers is in this deck, we only have 4 removal spells that can deal with very large units, and that's 4 Vanquish. So pretty much every other thing we have to deal with large units is like the weapons that can potentially be 4/1 or 6/1 or a 6/4, and just combat. So let's offer him to trade here and see if he'll take it. Yes, he certainly won't. I'm just getting some life here. He's getting a lot of value off the 7 damage in the air. So next turn, I'm gonna play the die show and kill both of these, and I'll be taking some damage. But I will basically clear his board of threats. I'm hoping he used up all his mana so that I don't. Ooh, I guess that changes things a little bit. I'm gonna have to kill this and take some damage. Okay, I'll attack him for 3 and gain 3 life. It's a little bit better than blocking. So if he attacks me with everything here, I block the 2/1, take 4, go to 7. So he needs a lot of finest hours and torches to kill me. And he definitely doesn't have torch. He would have definitely killed my units if he had torch. So next turn we have Icaria, and I think we have stabilized at that point. very little he can have that can kill. So what he'll do is he's most likely gonna attack us with a 2/2, and he's just gonna find us hour to kill our Icaria, and we're gonna take that trade, I think, because otherwise he does 5 to us. If he has 3 tricks, any combination of Torch, Finest Hour, we die. Nope, he's not gonna attack me at all. And in that case, he's in some trouble. How good is this right now? I play this, stun the 2/2, swinging with a 5/5, he goes to 5. He has 4 attackers and I have 4 blockers. Pretty much guaranteed win. But if I play Icaria, attack with both, he chumps one, and I still have 5 defenders, and one of them has Aegis as well, versus this doesn't have Aegis. And of course, the Icaria can't be chump blocked, whereas the Bounty Hunter can be chump blocked, so I think the Icaria is the better play here. The +5/+5 Warcry trigger is irrelevant at this point. So he needs quite a lot to be able to beat me this game. He's also stuck on 4 power, so he may have a Deep Forge plate that he's just waiting on. Okay, so that's the first step that he needed. Now what he needs is 2 Finest Hours, and I think... No, I don't think 2 Finest Hours would do it. Because, yeah, I'm at 7. There's no way these colors can... Oh, I'm at 8 because of the life gain. So, yeah, there's no way this combination of colors can handle... Can do 8 damage to me. Not when he's stuck on 4 power. Okay, so things worked out pretty well that game. Alright, let's see what we got. Githrog. This hand is kind of okay. It's a 4 power hand. Our turn 3 play is okay. Turn 5 play is pretty decent. This is not a turn 2 play. Nobody plays 4 power units on turn 2 unless they're Sky Crag. I think this hand's a little on the slow side. Let's look for something a little bit better, with a little bit more early game interaction. Not too much better. not too much better. What we really want to see is Copperhaw, Baelith, and Torch. Those are the 2 cards we really want to see in the early game. But lucky for us, our opponent has a fairly slow deck. So probably is the Argentport control deck that has gotten a little bit more popular recently. Yep, looks like it. We don't care too... Well, I guess we do. We don't care about the damage, but we do care about Warcry triggers. Most of our removal spell, with the exception of Vanquish, cares about the size of the unit. So, if possible, we don't want their units to grow in size. That is unblockable. Okay, so he's trading a Finest Hour for my 3/3. No thanks. The reason I don't block is because next turn, if I hold up 1 power, I can block next turn and blow him out if he has a trick. So I think that is better than just trading my 3/3 for a trick right away. We're not attacking him at the moment because... Actually, I should have attacked with 1 Valkyrie. I was going to double block, but he may not attack me with both units. Okay. Alright. Let's double block and see what happens. Oh, so he has a Varus Favor, so he's just going to trade one of these for a Varus Favor. Which is fair. Yep. Let's kill his 2/3 here. He still has 1 more unit in his hand that's better than everything he's played so far that has unblockable. These colors have a lot of removal spells that can kill a 2/3. I'm not gonna attack. And I'm not gonna put a plate on it. I'm only 1 turn away, 1 power away from playing Icaria. I would rather slap the plate onto the Icaria. Yep, I'll continue to block here, and continue to lose things to Varus Favor, I suppose. There's the unblockable unit. That's somewhat problematic. So let's shrink him a little bit. And how badly do I have to kill this? The thing I'm worried about is using the Vanquish on this now, and then he plays a Tavert, and that's even more problematic for us. Because taking 4 damage a turn it still is a 6-turn clock. But if I kill this and he draws a Tavert and I can't deal with it, that could be a much worse clock for me. That's tough. And of course, killing it now, he could very well draw it again over the next couple of turns anyway. So let's wait. Let's wait. Because once we have the Icaria... Oh, actually, no, this is unblockable, so I can't do anything about it. Okay, so we have the Icaria now. Let's just go ahead and swing in. Pick up a +6/+6 Warcry trigger here. He needs 2 instant. Okay, so he has 1 instance defeat removal. That means he has no way to kill the Icaria, and that's really good news. I mean, even if this is a Slay... Oh no, that's a really good top deck. Now he can kill the Icaria with a Slay. That's an Vanquish. That's 3 copies of Copperheart Bailiff that he drew. That's too bad. But he has no more removal in his hand, though. This is very good news. So let's hit him for 1. And I put a plate on this next turn. I'm going to go ahead and Vanquish this now. Because he has no cards in his hand. He doesn't have Tavert in his hand. And at this point, he's top decking, so I feel a little bit more inclined to use the Vanquish and mitigate that 4 damage. I think my opponent is in a lot of trouble. It's not a control deck at all. It's actually more of a mid-range deck. Alright, we fight with courage. I was thinking if I should play the land or not, but I will. I do experience a slightly more diverse metagame lately. I've been playing against quite a few different decks. Maybe not new decks, but different decks. Things that you typically don't see in top 100 Masters. That used to be a lot more limited in terms of the deck's choices. And now things seem to have opened up a little bit, which I like a lot. I'm really excited for the new set. I think there's going to be a lot of... There's going to be at least another... going to be a month or 2 of just people experimenting with new archetypes. And I think that's the most exciting period for me for games like this. Brands. Almost have enough power to straight up play Icaria. So this is clearly a mulligan, right? In my opinion, anything that has 5 power is pretty much a mulligan. You don't really have to think too much further. And obviously, in the hand we just had, we have no plays into turn 7. The Vanquish is kind of a reactionary spell, and typically not something you play on turn 2. I mean, chances are your opponent's not going to have a 4 power unit on turn 2 that you have to kill. Although this deck might. This deck might have a Champion of Fury that is... I'll get a Justice, then we have triple fire, triple green. Okay, we'll take 2. Alright. This cop... I'm going to play the Copperheart Bailiff because it holds him back a little bit, and I think what I want to do next turn is rise to the challenge and just grab another Copperheart Bailiff. Yep, I'll take 3. What I really don't like, though, is giving him Warcry triggers. This deck does not like opponents getting Warcry triggers. I've changed my mind. It's probably better just clearing his board. The benefit of killing your opponent's unit is that... So when your opponent is expanding and building a board, right? And a lot of times you have 2 options. You have the option of playing your own unit to block with, or killing one of their units. If your opponent is an aggressive deck, it's almost always better to kill their units, because every time you kill one of their units, their board development is stalled. The problem is if you play a blocker and they have a cost-efficient way to get rid of it, like Permafrost and Torch, then their board was never stalled, and they continue to expand and out-tempo you on the board. And very quickly, you'll be so far behind that you wouldn't be able to catch up. The only decks that can get away with playing a unit and letting your opponent develop their board is the ones that runs Harsh Rule or some kind of board sweeper. Then it's okay, but not this deck. I'm not actually sure what I want to rise to the challenge here. I think I might just go ahead and do this and put another blocker out there and give both of these like lifesteal. I think lifesteal will come in handy. What's really unfortunate is our opponent has a lot of Warcry triggers off of this Yeti already, and also with the other Ronin. Now he has 2 more. So he's gonna have something very gigantic on his deck, and my deck is not very good at dealing with gigantic units. Okay. We're definitely on the defensive here, so we're just gonna have to sit back and hope nothing happens. If he obliterates my Spirit Guide here, oh, that's ugly. That is very ugly. Okay. Yeah, so all of these are trades, none of which are good for us. So let's just block the highest power unit and the Warcry unit and take our 3. We're really dead here. Oh hey, this is actually a time where Jake is really good. Let's go ahead and stun his Warcry trigger. This is gonna block either of these units, so it doesn't really matter which one I stun. And if he has a trick, both of them will kill Jake the Bounty Hunter as well. So I might as well just do this. I'm still taking 1 damage here. That's unfortunate. And that thing will be unstunned next turn. Oh, that's ugly. That's ugly. What can I rise to the challenge for that's gonna keep us in this game? Let's see what... Do we have any Warcry triggers? I think we might have 1 Warcry trigger, right? Somewhere? Oh no, the Warcry trigger that we have has already been used up by the Spirit Guide. Throne Warden might not be a terrible choice. Icaria might not be bad. He attacks us for 4. We go to 3. We put Icaria in play, attack him for 5. He cracks back, and we go to 1, and we die to any trick, any burn spell. Alternatively, I go for a die show and just trade with both of these units. But then our die show dies. Alternatively, we go with Throne Warden, put it into play, block, gain 4 life, and stay alive in the game a little bit longer. I'm gonna go for broke. I'm gonna go for an Icaria Liberator and just hope that he doesn't have a burn spell. Because this is one of the only ways for me to win the game. Nope, he has a burn spell, so we're dead. Oh, super dead. Alright. Good game. That's too bad. I don't think that our hand was that bad. I'm not sure if we made any really big decisions, really bad decisions. One of the turns we could have perhaps taken a turn off and cast a Rise to the challenge and grab ourselves another Copperheart Bailiff. I don't know if that would have helped. I'm not sure. I'm not sure actually. But one of the weaknesses to our deck, and the more I play this deck, the more I realize is that when you don't have anything to do for the first 2 turns, and Torch being your only reactionary spell, against deck that go wide, you can sometimes fall behind, especially if you didn't draw enough Copperheart Bailiffs, and especially when their deck has enough cheap, efficient, tempo-focused removal spells that can get rid of your first 2 or 3 blockers, then you're in a lot of trouble. Because once you have lost your first 2 or 3 early game plays, like your 3 drops, this deck then just gets into 5, 6, and 7 drops, and that's too slow against decks that likes to go wide. One possible solution to that is to add in 4 copies of Harsh Rule. And that might not be a very bad idea because our deck's not very aggressive. All the creatures that we play in the early game is really just for stalling, so we don't really mind using a Harsh Rule to kill our own units if it means clearing out the board so that next turn we can just play an Icaria, put a plate on it, and win the game. So that is certainly going to be a version of the deck that I will evolve into later on. But for now, in the current version, we are a little bit weak to the super fast wide decks. We can beat them, but we need the right draw. Alright, this might be the last game that I'm recording today. Let's hope this is a good one. Both of these are double red. We don't even have double red. This is not really a turn 2 play. So really we have nothing that we can play in the first 3 turns with this hand. If we draw red, then yes, we can play these 3-2s, but they're pretty weak sauce as far as 3-2s turn 3 plays go, I think we're just going to go ahead and redraw this hand. And the Vanquish, of course, is not really a turn 2 play. Same problem, only one single source of red. And we have an Ijin, I guess, in our hand. But we do have 4 power, and we can play Torch, and we can play Runehammer. So this hand is already better than the last one. There we go. We get a Fire Sigil there, so that's great. Now we can play everything in our hand. This is going to get played out and die, so I'm actually thinking of holding on to this until we hit 7 power. These colors are full of unit removal spells. Yeah, this one is a lot better to play out first. Playing out the Ijin first and then this, and then mentoring it is... I don't think it's the best play. If something gets killed, I would rather the 3/3 gets killed first, and then giving the Ijin a slightly higher chance of survival. So I think this card is stronger than this card when you have the power later on in the game. But apparently, nothing died. So let's just play this out. I'm not going to play the Runehammer yet, because ideally you would like to play the Runehammer and kill something right away, so that even when your opponent kills your Runehammer, you still got a 1-for-1 trade out of the deal, or maybe 2-for-1 trade out of the deal. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, we're just gonna continue to put threats out there onto the table. I'm just gonna go ahead and play the Enforcer. I don't want to lose pressure, because right now we're pressuring him. He's got a slower control deck, so I think I just want to keep applying pressure. I know that if he plays a very powerful spell unit right now that I wished I would silence, I would regret it, but 3 damage in the air is not nothing, so I think I'll do that. Okay, so let's swing in for 6. Here we'll play the Throne Warden. I think the idea here is that we'll put the Deep Forge Plate onto the Throne Warden next turn. And then he's going to be in a lot of trouble because he needs lots of removal spells to get rid of all my units. He can't attack us unless he puts a Zen Obelisk in play, in which case we're not going to trade. He used his Vera's Favor on me to draw power, which is really good because otherwise we lose the Throne Warden here. So my opponent is pretty screwed here, right? So just torch this thing, do that, and offer the trade. I think my Spirit Guide is not as good as his Iron, so I'm perfectly fine attacking here and trading him. Oh, he just conceded. Okay. Alright, well, a fairly uneventful game. Alright, I think that is it for this deck. I've recorded 2 sets of videos. There should be a total of 8 games. So that should be representative of what the deck is like. I do want to mention something though, is that no matter what deck you play, no matter how good or bad I guess the deck is, you're gonna have to go on. You're going to inevitably go onto certain streaks where you get above the variance and you get a winning streak, or below the variance and you lose a bunch of games. Just because I've just happened to hit 2 really good patches where I won a lot of games, it doesn't mean the deck wins all the time. Certainly, if you play this deck enough, there are times where you will go into a slump and lose a few games here and there. I think that's perfectly normal. So just keep in mind that if you do try to test this deck out, give it enough of games and get a big enough of a sample size before jumping to conclusion whether or not you think the deck is good. I think the deck is certainly pretty good, but maybe not as good as the results have shown so far, where I think I've basically gone 7-0 and then like 6 or 7-1 or something like that. And I think that's not representative of the deck's true strength. I think it's not going to be that good, right? But I do think that this deck is quite competitive. I got into Masters with this deck very quickly this month, so this is certainly something that you can play around with. There's some room for tweaking the cards and taking the deck in a slightly different direction. For as I mentioned in one of my videos, I think you can actually take out a couple of the mid game cards and put in harsh rules. And I think having a board sweeper gives this deck a catch up mechanism when you've fallen behind, and that happens actually pretty often against really aggressive decks or even opposing mid range decks. That if you're playing against Praxis or Elysian, some of those decks that has really big 6/6s, if they have enough of them on the table, a Deep Forge Plate onto an Icaria may not be enough if they have 3 or 4, 6/6s and 7/7s in play with a Sandstorm Titan. You still can't attack into that kind of a ground force, which is where Harsh Rule becomes really powerful. So that is certainly a direction that we can take the deck. But as always, thank you guys very much for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe, or subscribe for more videos in the future. Typically, for the first half of the month, we usually play with janky, interesting brews and try to make certain cards work that are fun and interesting. And then in the second half of the month, we typically go with more competitive decks and move into top 150 masters, whatever the case. This month, things got a little bit backwards. We ended up taking a janky deck last month and making it kind of competitive at the tail end of the month. So it turns out, and then this month I got really bored and I jumped into a competitive deck right away. So maybe we don't have an interesting brew this month. I'm still working on something, but it'll take me a while to figure out whether or not it works. So no promises for this month. So I think the next video you see may be just draft videos. We are not yet currently in draft. Draft Masters. We're in Diamond. So I think the next few videos will be draft focused.